everybody, my name is. I'm going to tell you about the history of chocolate.
If you can't imagine life without chocolate, you're lucky you weren't
If you think about a life without chocolate,
born before the 16th century.
you're lucky. You're lucky. You weren't born before the 16th century.
Until then, chocolate only existed in Mesoamerica, in a
Until then, chocolate only existed in Mesoamerica.
form quite different from what we know.
In a
As-
form quite different from what we know.
As far back as 1900 BCE,
As far back as 1900 BCE,
the people of that region had learned to prepare the beans
the people of that region had learned to prepare the beans
of the native cacao tree.
of the native cacao tree.
The earliest records tell us the beans were ground and mixed
The earliest record showed that the beans were pounded and mixed
with cornmeal and chili peppers
with cornmeal and chili peppers
to create a drink, not a relaxing
to create a drink,
cup of hot cocoa, but a bitter, invigorating concoction, frothed hot cocoa, not a relaxing cup of hot cocoa, but
not a relaxing cup of hot cocoa,
a bitter, invigorating concoction, frothing with foam.
but a bitter, invigorating concoction, frothing from foam.
And if you thought we make a big deal about chocolate today,
And you thought we make a big deal about chocolate today.
the Mesoamericans had us beat.
The Mesoamericans had us beat.
They believed that cacao was a heavenly food
They believed cacao was a heavenly food
gifted to humans by a feathered serpent god.
gifted to humans by a feathered serpent god,
Known to the Maya as Kukulkan, and to the
known to the Maya as Kukulkan,
Aztecs as Quetzalcoatl.
and to the Aztecs as Quetzalcoatl.
Aztecs used cacao beans as currency
Aztecs used cacao beans as currency
and drank chocolate at royal feasts, gave
and drank chocolate at road feasts,
it to soldiers as a reward for success in battle, and
gave to soldiers in success in battle,
used it in rituals.
and used it in rituals.
The first transatlantic chocolate encounter occurred in 1519,
The first transatlantic chocolate encounter occurred in 1519
when Hernán Cortés visited the court of Montezuma
when Hernán Cortés visited the court of Moctezuma
at Tenochtitlan.
at Tenochtitlan.
As recorded by Cortés' lieutenant,
As recorded by Cortés' lieutenant,
the king had 50 jugs of the drink brought out and poured into golden cups.
the king had 50 jugs of the drink brought out and poured into golden cups.
When the colonists returned with shipments of the strange new bean,
When the colonists returned to the with shipments of the strange new bean,
missionaries' salacious accounts of native customs gave it
missionary accounts of native customs
a reputation as an
gave it a reputation as an aphrodisiac.
aphrodisiac. At first, its bitter taste made it suitable as a medicine for
At first, its bitter taste made it suitable as a medicine for ailments
ailments like upset stomach,
like upset stomach.
but sweetening it with honey, sugar, or vanilla
But sweetening it with honey, sugar, or vanilla
quickly made chocolate a popular delicacy in the Spanish
quickly made chocolate a popular delicacy in the Spanish court.
court. And soon, no aristocratic home was complete without
And soon, no aristocratic home was complete without dedicated sophisticated chocolate ware.
Sophisticated chocolateware. The fashionable drink was difficult and time-consuming to
The fashionable drink was difficult and time-consuming to
produce on a large scale.
on a large scale.
That involved using plantations and imported slave
That involved using plantations and imported slave
labor in the Caribbean and on islands off the coast of Africa.
in the Caribbean and on islands of the coast of Africa.
The world of chocolate would change forever in 1828
The world of chocolate would change forever in 1828
with the introduction of the cocoa press by Conrad van Houten of Amsterdam.
with the introduction of the cocoa press by Conrad van Houten of Amsterdam.
Van Houten's invention could separate the cocoa's natural fat
Van Houten's invention could separate the cocoa's natural fat, or cocoa butter.
This left a powder that could be mixed into a drinkable solution
This left a powder that could be mixed into a drinkable solution,
or recombined with the cocoa butter
or recombined with the cocoa butter
to create the solid chocolate we know today.
to create the solid chocolate we know today.
Not long after, a Swiss chocolatier named Daniel Peter
Not long after, a Swiss chocolatier named Daniel Peter
added powdered milk to the mix,
added powdered milk to the mix,
thus inventing milk chocolate.
thus inventing milk chocolate.
By the 20th century, chocolate was no longer an elite luxury,
By the 20th century, chocolate was no longer an elite luxury,
but had become a treat for the public.
but it had become a treat for the public.
Meeting the massive demand required more cultivation of cocoa,
Meeting more massive demand required more cultivation of cocoa,
which can only grow near the equator.
which can only grow near the equator.
Now, instead of African slaves being shipped to South America,
Now, instead of African slaves being shipped to South American cocoa plantations,
cocoa production itself would shift to West Africa,
cocoa production itself would shift to West Africa,
with Côte d'Ivoire providing 2/5 of the world's cocoa as of 2015.
with Côte d'Ivoire providing 2/5 of the world's cocoa as of 2015.
Yet, along with the growth of the industry,
Yet, along with the growth of the industry,
there have been horrific abuses of human rights.
there have been horrific abuses of human rights.
Many of the plantations throughout West Africa,
Many of the plantations throughout West Africa,
which supply Western companies,
which supply Western companies,
use slave and child labor,
use slave and child labor,
with an estimation of more than 2 million children affected.
with an estimate of more than 2 million children affected.
This is a complex problem that persists
This is a complex problem that persists
despite efforts from major chocolate companies to partner with African nations
despite efforts from major chocolate companies to partner with African nations
to reduce child and indentured labor
to reduce child and indentured labor practices.
Today, chocolate has established itself in the rituals of our modern
Today, chocolate has established itself in the rituals of our modern culture
culture due to its colonial association with native
due to its colonial association with native cultures,
combined with the power of advertising.
combined with the power of advertising.
Chocolate retains an aura of something sensual,
Chocolate retains an aura or something sensual,
decadent, and forbidden.
and forbidden.
Yet knowing more about its
Yet knowing more about this fascinating and often cruel history,
as well as its production
as well as this production
today, tells us where these associations originate
tell us why these associations originate
and what they hide.
and
So as you unwrap your next bar of chocolate,
So as you unwrap your next bar of chocolate,